The next topic begins with the story of a genius, Gottfried Leibniz, a mathematician, a philosopher, a scientist. In fact, he would come up with also with the invention, he would be recognized for the invention of calculus. Two people simultaneously would invent calculus, Leibniz and of course Sir Isaac Newton. There was a long-standing rivalry between the two of them. But at the same time, he would also study the collision of bodies, which was already being studied and the law of conservation of momentum was already in place, right? And people studied this collision and talked about the law of conservation of momentum. But Leibniz would focus on another term, which he put down as mv squared, the mass of the body into its velocity, square of its velocity. And he would find out that this term was conserved. In fact, Leibniz believed that the universe was a machine, a very efficient machine, created by a genius creator. And the creator had already put in a life force into the universe. And this life force could be transferred from body to body, but remained conserved. In fact, he identified this life force in a gunpowder and fire explosion. He could identify this life force as exploding. In fact, in a correspondence with another scientist, they would comment that if a man could harness this life force, he could do the work of 100 other men who couldn't harness this. This life force, which Leibniz talked about, is today what we call energy. But during this time, it was interesting that this concept did not really catch on because everybody was focused on the law of conservation of energy, on the law of conservation of momentum and Isaac Newton. But 100 years later, this dream of Leibniz would reach reality with the invention of the steam engine. And maybe if there was any worthy rival to Isaac Newton, it had to be Gottfried Leibniz, the person who discovered the living force or energy and put together, after law of momentum, the next greatest law of conservation that we have seen, the law of conservation of energy.